allow me to do a practical demonstration in this screen. What we have here is we have this particular chart. As you saw on the PowerPoint, we had these issues, and we decided that we would put what an abstract is by doing some research with some theorists, and we'd put it in here. And then we might put another source in there as well. Or alternatively, we could just go 1, 2, and 3 with our various sources. And of course, what we also realise, if we need more space for that, we can put abstract in again. Because the beauty of this is that it can keep on growing quite a bit. Now we also have the introduction here, and we can do the same thing. Here is where you will start to look at some of your critical analysis. Over time, what you're doing is you're bringing, as I said before in the PowerPoint demonstration, you're bringing all of this good information and you're synthesizing it. You're integrating it into your work. So you might want to go back to look at what synthesis is on the PowerPoint to understand what this means. But this section here can become what you're typing in to use in your thesis. And you start to synthesize all of the good information and discount what you don't like. And of course what we're doing is we're using something in common to all of us. But if you wanted to sort of go further, you could. For example, you could say, let's not use these things. You might be doing multiple sclerosis. And if you were doing multiple sclerosis, then it would be very good to look at other issues that could come under that, like diet. And of course you'd have a literature review, you'd have your methodology, you'd have your findings and discussion, but you need to define some of these other terms. You may wish to do human resource development. So we had HRD, you'd be looking at training needs analysis. You can do this for anything, because what you do is you search through documents to find what you are very interested in collecting for your data, and you keep on collecting it, and of course then you let it go under the critical analysis, and then you paraphrase or quote, but you're using all of the good bits from these references and sources to basically create this column here, which embodies all of the good research that you've done from the literature. So training needs analysis may be something that you want to do. I'm a bit of a slow typist. So you put all of the data there and so forth. So let's look at another one that I prepared before. This has got the introduction, and of course you always put the theorist there, and if you're quoting it to avoid plagiarism, you might even want to put it in blue writing so that you make sure that you're not plagiarising anybody's work, so that it ends up being in blue. And of course you put the page there. And it's very important, always as you go, to save time, to put the references in at the bottom of your chart. You really do need to have your references section and make sure that it works very effectively, so that you again save time, because we know that you're time poor people. But just looking at this chart, here's a situation where I've got lots of text here, I've got a couple of columns, but this is very important. This is the synthesis column. This is the action column where you're using all of this good material from here, and you put it into your own words when you're paraphrasing, and you'll synthesize it by integrating it into your thesis. This is the action part that fits into your paragraphs and your thesis or the journal article that you may be writing. So as you see this, you might pause this, I can bring this up a little bit so that you can see it a little bit more clearly, and then you might want to pause this to have another look, and this can go on. But this is a whole chart here that's well documented. I haven't completed it at all for time, but then there's a literature review, and I've been using some sources from there once again. So that's the situation there, but sometimes what this is all about is saving you time. You don't really have to take any notes because you could actually you could scan some documents like a book in the library, and then you could actually cut and paste it. For example, if you were to scan something or even take a photograph with your iPhone, you can email it to yourself, and let's look at something that you can do. For example, if we were to look, let's just look at our snipping tool. So we have a snipping tool there, and we decide that we want to use the snipping tool. So we pin it to our taskbar, very easily done. And then we've got a document. We've got a document that we can't cut and paste from. And where you can cut and paste from journal articles, this saves you time by putting it in the columns. But as we look at this, this is the Australian Qualifications Framework, which describes everything up to doctoral degrees and what have you. But it's not an exercise about that per se. I want some of the information from this that I cannot photocopy. So what I do is I use the snipping tool to do this, and then I do this. But I make sure that I cite it as well with the page, which is page 9. And then I'd go back to my chart, and here it is, and I'll just show you how this grows like topsy. And it's all there, and you can even make it a little bit smaller if you wish. And then of course you can use some of that really good material to again synthesize in this section over here. Now that's very important to do it. Now with another document similar to this, fortunately I'm able to copy that, so I can just copy and paste with that one actually directly into the chart. So we'll just pop it anywhere in one of those sections there. And that's very easy. Now, again, what I'd sort of say is I'm in the library, I've got a book, I don't want to take notes. I might mark a little bit in a pencil and then put it against my training needs analysis if I were looking at something of that nature. And then I would just send it to myself and then email it to myself, open it, and I'd use the snipping tool to cut and paste the bit in that I want. But you've got to be very careful with this, because here you need to basically say this is a direct quote to avoid plagiarism. But you wouldn't write to avoid plagiarism, but that's basically, you want to make sure that you're not making a mistake there by accidentally failing to attribute the thoughts of another without giving it a correct citation. If that's referencing, that's another matter, and that's for another training session. So we have this, it makes it very simple. You don't actually have to save notes, I beg your pardon, you don't have to take notes. It saves a lot of time, and you can always come back to where you were and keep on reading. And as you read different things in a very good textbook or very good journal article, you work out where you want to put it, because these themes are the themes are your themes that you're using for your research project, whether it's a journal article or a PhD thesis or a master's thesis by research or a master's by coursework. And where you've got a master's by coursework, you actually start to do the definitions. If you're given an actual question, this even becomes more useful, because you break up that question into the key aspects of these questions and they become your themes. So now another way that we can look at this particular issue, we can do all sorts of things with this. We just go up a little bit, just move that up a little bit. Now, what we're looking at here, we start to think about other ways of doing it. So let's just take a few of these things out, and we'll just go back to some basics there. Now, I might just take a little bit more out and a little bit more out. Now, another way of doing this is let's say that this is the literature review chart. The literature review chart, but we want to change this. This now becomes, we'll just add in insert a row above. We now call this our survey chart. and we keep the same themes down here, and then we basically itemize what our survey showed, and we can use this to line these up in the discussion chapter or the discussion section to see how what people said or what you found out on your survey, how it fits or does not fit with the literature review. I mean, that's what a discussion is, as we were talking about before. It's how it gels or how it compares or doesn't gel or is in contrast to what was said in the literature review. And we're always looking for new knowledge as part of a PhD or any research that we're doing. We're always looking for new knowledge. Now, where you did a survey chart, this lines up against what the literature was, which is another way of analysis. So that's an added use of this particular chart to make your work a lot easier. Because at the end of the day, what we're attempting to do is make your time much better used, make sure that you're streamlining all the research that you're doing so that you can come back to a chart like this and then you know where the information is, and it also helps you compare the information from various different sources and decide which is very good to you so that you can use it again and again and again. That concludes this demonstration. We wish you every success with your research, of course. We are hopeful that this is of use to you. It is simple, it is uncomplicated, but we understand from our preliminary research that this is a powerful tool that people can use quite effectively. Right, we move forward and we'll give you a little bit of added advice on the couple of slides that we made. Thank you very much.